Since its controversial publication, Ghost at a Watchman has received a dubious reputation in many ways, partly due to the fact that many feel that an aged Harper Lee was taken advantage of for a blatant cash grab, as well as its depiction of beloved character Atticus Finch. The reputation was such that many people that I know and are friends with have never read the book, they don't plan to, and they will always see To Kill a Mockingbird as the only Harper Lee book. Now, in a downtown Barnes & Noble, I went and picked up the recently published paperback, and I read the first few sentences, and I was captivated enough to purchase it on the spot and begin reading it immediately. And in the months that followed, as I traveled on bus and train to my various jobs across the city, I would always hide the cover. I didn't want anybody to see I was reading this book for fear of being called out for something. It's silly, I know, but many feel and are upset about this new novel and are upset at those that read it and see them as sort of these literary traitors to Harper Lee's legacy. Again with the legacy. Why the fuck does everybody think they're owed a legacy? There was a simplicity to the writing. It is a story taking place from Jean Louise Finch's growing up perspective as she returns to Macomb, Alabama to visit her father. She now lives in New York City, and every year she returns to visit her father, who is now living with his sister, Alexandria, having sold their childhood home where now sits an ice cream stand. All of the touchstones of her childhood as Scout are gone here. The childhood house is gone. Her childhood sweetheart, Dale, is overseas after serving in World War II. The family housekeeper, Calpurnia, is retired and had moved home to the segregated section of her small town. And sadly, her big brother Jim has passed away in high school. When Calpurnia's son is arrested for accidentally killing a drunken pedestrian, Atticus takes the case. But nothing is as we expected it to be in this story. Jean Louise does recall when she was a child, her father helped free a black man accused of rape. Here it is discovered Atticus's motivations are not the same as his Mockingbird counterpart. He's actually there to block the NAACP from taking the case and making it into a show trial for equal rights. So the earlier case of Tom Robinson was not Atticus fighting injustice. It was simply Atticus doing the job that he was asked to do as the public defender. Now this revelation changes Jean Louise's view of her father as it does to us, the reader. Jean Louise then discovers that her father is attending a Citizens First meeting with her current boyfriend, and she sneaks in. There she sees Atticus warmly introducing a well-known racist guest speaker. She is shocked and feels betrayed and spends much of the novel after trying to cope with this discovery. She begins to see for the first time how racist her childhood town really is. Jean Louise's own views of black people are nuanced and complicated, having lived in New York City for 10 years and having that influence her outlook. But her views still fall in the realm of separate but equal. In the most heartbreaking scene in the book, after this discovery, she visits Calpurnia, the black maid she loved deeply and looked on as a mother figure. And after seeing how racist her childhood town really is, has come to ask a difficult question. The whole time, did you hate us? This changes how we see Calpurnia in To Kill a Mockingbird, as it changes all of the events of that book. Calpurnia does not answer, instead assumes the syntax of her own duties, thanks Scout for coming, and promptly dismisses her. Jean Louise then rebels, denouncing everything, her father, and plans to move away forever. It is her uncle, Atticus's brother Jack, who works to make her see that this was always her father, and that he is indeed just a human being, and that she has now grown beyond her father's own morals. At the end of the story, she decides to keep visiting, hoping her presence will make a difference in the future. Lee based much of this story and Mockingbird on her own childhood. Lee's own father was the town lawyer, and in the time since the publication of Mockingbird and the pedestaling of Atticus Finch, we ascribe a rose-tinted characteristics of Scout's childhood to Lee's own, and that view of Atticus to our own history of fighting racism. We should remember that she wrote this novel before To Kill a Mockingbird. This was the manuscript she first submitted for publication, meaning the Atticus Finch of Ghost at a Watchman is Lee's true vision of Atticus Finch. This has always been the true Atticus Finch, and the version we got in To Kill a Mockingbird was only a child-glorifying edifice of detached memory. In the reviews since, I have come to appreciate Ursula K. Le Guin's look at Ghost at a Watchman, where she wonders that if this was printed then, instead of Mockingbird, in a time of great segregation, could it have actually raised the hard questions that Mockingbird did not, which instead painted a hazy patina of hero worship, maybe some self-worship on our own fight against racism? When Ghost at a Watchman's honesty of its depictions did not match our heroic characterizations, we all got upset at having to learn that same truth again. Our past is one of racism. This sort of reminds me of the tearing down of Confederate statues, where some think that we're erasing history. No, we're simply correcting that hazy filter on our own past. History never disappears because you tear down a statue. No, it disappears when you fail to look upon it objectively. It is the same for these two books, except that now we are tearing down the hazy filter of our liberal idealism of defeating racism. Ghost at a Watchman is the pulling down of our statue of lies the U.S. tells about itself. I believe that this book arrived exactly when we needed it to. You see, Atticus Finch is America, for we will always present the glorified version of our own morality, when in the beginning we used it to hide our true figure, our true history. Racism still exists in America, despite what we tell ourselves. Lee's book is a timely reminder of this chastening of nostalgia, hides from us the harsh realities of truth of our history. For the Jean Louise of Ghost at a Watchman, it is an evolution of morality as hers has grown beyond her father's. In the end, it is long past time for Scout to grow up. Ghost at a Watchman is a reminder that the U.S. has always been racist, and the only way we can get past it is to evolve our morality above it. In short, Ghost at a Watchman reminds us that it is long past time for us to grow up.